content tool here, which is essentially your Inspire images.
Oh, okay.
So we could have found the pig, or we could find a cat, okay, and we can use one that's already there. I quite like the drawing one. I think that's a step up. This is sort of the in-between. Well, we're still using someone else's. I've totally thought of everything myself. So you've got that option there. And you've also got, we don't have a microphone plugged in, but you've also got a sound recorder, so the kids could be recording the sounds of that.
I might have a recorder.
Okay. So there's a lot more to the initial activity just by utilising those few tools. So the tools will always change. For each activity you'll be given different tools. In this instance we don't have a web browser, okay, because it's probably not deemed as relevant for the age level, which makes sense. But for other ones they might have a web browser. In fact, we'll go and have a look at some that have a web browser, because they might need to go out and research extra stuff. If you see a rubbish bin to bin anything, so say we don't want this pussycat head on the page anymore, we just bin it. If we've done that accidentally, we can take it out of the bin, which is quite good. And then we just close the bin, and it's
because
done.
I noticed the girls sometimes they go into the keyboard and they just write gobbledygook.
And and it just goes on.
And then I sort of think, well, how am I going to get rid of that?
Rubbish bin.
The rubbish bin.
Rubbish bin.
And can you leave that rubbish bin on there?
You can.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't have to close it. Oops. I'm going to though.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll stick it
Okay.
in.
So I think, do you want to see if the microphone works?
Yep.
So you can show us that.
I'll just show you one more thing, and then Q&A. You'll often have a Q&A option, and everybody, if you open your Q&As, you're going to have a different one, because by default that's probably what's been set up for this activity. So they're similar, but I've got ED words. You've got UG, you've got UN, and you've got AG. Now, there's two ways you can answer this. Oops. You can, that's the downside of being able to move it around. You can use your keyboard. So if I wanted to put bed and red, thank you. I can't do two separate text boxes because I can only input one thing here. So if I now do red, that's going to replace that one. So they have to be red space bed or red enter bed.
Okay.
Okay, or I could use my work pad. So if you're doing a mixed ability grouping and you've got your really emergent reader writers and they can't do the individual answering of questions, or you just want to let them answer in whatever they feel comfortable answering in, they could draw it. There's a bed and there's red.
Okay. Very good.
Or whatever. And they can add that. Okay. So it will take one
image.
So you can't add the picture and the word.
You can put your card in, but you'd have one card.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it just takes one answer, and because we have our name tagged on this, when we go out to the report in a moment, it shows what each of us answered for that. Okay. Again, there's no, on this activity for the Q&A, there was no that's correct, that's incorrect, because it's the type of activity it is. For some of them, like the maths ones, the questions, there can be a direct yes or no that is correct or incorrect answer, in which case some of those have a smiley face, green smiley face, or a red sad face if they got it right or wrong as a instant feedback kind of prompt, and I think they can replace the answer if they want.
You can check it with this though, can't you? Because that speaks out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, so are we plugged in with
We are.
Okay. Now, I'm hoping that it just automatically works without having to have adjusted it.
Hello.
Oh, hang on. Ready?
Voice.
Go.
Hello.
Okay, and when I push stop, that goes onto the page. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Hello, hello, hello.
How good is that?
They'll love that. That's a cool feature.
So you just plug the
Yeah, I'll just
in?
plug that in.
That's great. I've never had access to one
Oh, really?
before, so I was like, phew, it works beautifully. On the day we're filming.
Exactly. Perfect.
Okay, so we've had a go at Q&A. Now we're going to send it to the teacher because it's the end of our activity,
Okay.
and we want to keep our work and show our teacher what we've done. So one person can push that, and everybody has to say, yes, it's time to do that.
So that's a good feature that I didn't realise. Yeah, to send it to the teacher.
Now, the document is created. Do you want to copy it to USB? I would suggest that you're going to have a USB plugged in and you're going to say to the students, yes. Okay. Would you like to view? We're going to view it now. Okay.
Cool.
And because we chose PDF, this is the view we get. Otherwise, it would have opened a flip chart in Active Inspire.
Yeah.
So we get an overview, so we can visually see they didn't get that much done in that time, and but I can see some interesting things opened here.
And I did
And you
nothing.
can go through page by page. Okay, that's interesting. It's all the same page, which it shouldn't be. Stop filming. Okay.
So I wonder if every time you move something or press something, does it record that
because
page?
It's the same,
Oh yeah.
so
Does it say,
It's
yeah, my
almost
bug
like
and
it
mug
ended
is still
off.
there?
It's got 15
it's
pages
got a
though.
little. It's got that's a little flaw. We'll
Move on.
We'll move on.
And you know how you
we'll
said we answered the question and answer? Would that have normally been in there
yes,
as well?
everything's broken down. So you normally get one overview page, and then the next page will be an overview in writing, and it says the icons. This person interacted for this percentage of the time. Here's
Oh,
the time
wow.
the activity was
Okay.
done.
Okay.
And when they're saying interacted, it's interacted with something they've selected here. Obviously, we can't tell how much I was
Moving.
moving on the
Yeah.
screen, but I can tell what percentage I've interacted with the tools that I've opened. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you've gone out of this and the lesson's over, and then Amanda wants to go back and check it, now
Only
how
if
does
you've
she do it?
saved it
Okay.
onto that
When
memory
did
But
stick.
how
When-
does she
when
get
did that
back
go in?
into it?
We only went to in the end of it.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that might be the
Yes.
reason.
And it was a bit.
Like we've turned this off, and she's come back.
She's
and
got her
said-
memory stick
Yeah.
with the report on it.
So once she plugs that in, where does she?
She
go
plugs
then?
it into any computer,
Oh, and she
it
can
comes
look
up.
at it anyway.
And it'll come up as a PDF.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that's
when
good
we
because then
put-
you can put it on Story Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was
So you can
thinking. of.
say,
Yeah, that's
Story
what
we
I
use
was
Story Park,
Oh, that's
love
great.
it,
Yeah.
absolutely love it. So, and that's awesome. So you could do your session and then go, it's on the USB, quickly just plug it on the computer and dump it on your
Yes.
Story Park.
Okay.
Let's have a quick look into. Excellent. It's going to have to
I'll
be.
talk quiet in history. I don't know history.
Now, I'm going to ask you to stretch your imaginations here, because although this says history, I want you to think about the fact that you're going to be able to edit or create a timeline like this sort of activity, but instead of it being necessarily about a history, you might have a sequencing of a shared book or a reader.
Yeah.
So it might be that the kids have, because of copyright and the fact that you can only do 10% of one chapter,
Yeah.
you wouldn't want to scan every page of the book
No.
to have the
Might have
image.
to three images.
Yeah, or the kids might have
Drawn. That's a good
the
one. yeah.
images, you've scanned them, you've put them in, and you've built this activity outside on the Chrome browser website, and then you've loaded it. So whilst we're looking at the cool functionality of this activity, this type of activity is what you can build in the
Chrome.
Builder as well. Okay, so for this particular activity,
Which would be really cool for like our social stories for them going into year one. Like you could, because we've got some autistic students
Yeah,
and
excellent.
students with
'Cause
anxiety.
they'll see it.
You could actually put it on here and take photos of them, and then they could come and this is what I'm going to do in year
Yeah.
one, or this is where I have to go,
Yeah.
or
This is my spot.
Yeah.
This is my lineup area.
and also for an activity like this, I might have first gone in, which I forgot to do, and restricted the tokens. So I might have 6 students working here, but I've only got 1 or 2 tokens on the page, and that's because an activity like this, if you're using it in this full capacity, not necessarily for the version we just talked about earlier, but if you've got more senior students who are using it and you're wanting to use all of these tools, they take up a lot of space. So for this particular activity, basically the students are going to be setting up a timeline, and you can change everything about the timeline there and make it match. And so they're going to have to research, and so one of us might have the web browser, and so I'll just pass it over to you, and I'm going to ignore the fact that it's saying internet not available yet. I don't know, maybe we've dropped off the wireless. Or we did need the proxies, who knows. It's okay, because then I'm interested to, oh yes, it did shrink, but you can see if 6 kids had
and that's
a
what
web browser,
but I find that
it's
happens
too
when there's
much.
6, the drums and the music.
So then you can just have
Overlap.
one icon on the table, but 6 of them sharing all of the tools.
Okay.
So there's a little bit
okay.
of ways you can manage that kind of scenario. And someone's going to have the keyboard, and I'm going to give that to you, Amanda, and the notes. So this is where we're going to make our notes, and these have been set up so that I can add that, and you're now going to be able to type straight into there. I'll just shrink it down a little bit. And someone else might have a work pad to be making some notes or something like that. Okay, now all of these things coming around here, this is called the lazy river, and we saw this on the CVC icons as well. It's a way of holding content so it's not in the way on the screen. You can set these up in your own activities. You can make them go slow, medium, fast, or still, so that they don't actually move. The stuff just sits in the tray there, and basically the students can, they're not coming out, pull out.
I just double clicked it and I just went somewhere.
Disappeared.
Over here. I'm just gonna, don't you love it when that happens? They should be able to pull those out.
There we go.
First
Cool.
place.
Okay, I'm just going to eject that out
Where
of
did it go?
there. Okay, so, it's bounced back. Let's use these instead, because these are the same things. So these are not just titles that we can add to our timeline. They should also be links. Although in this instance, maybe I didn't read the instructions, and maybe these are just the stimulus, so that's why we don't pull them out. But most of the other activities you can pull them out of. And you should be able to push them in there, and they're a link, and that would, you can see it's changed up in the title, that would take you to a predetermined website. So this is where you're not having to worry about the kids going off and looking up various
It's like
things.
a hyperlink.
Because they're a hyperlink, and it's the same for the images, so we can scroll through the images, pop the images on, whoops, we can tap on them to reveal, and then if you push them into the web browsers, they take you to the predetermined, and you'll find that the links of time over here are the same.
Oh wow.
So
This is
a
there's
lot of
lots of-
work's gone. Yeah, that's
so
amazing.
Okay.
depending on
Oops.
the level of interaction you want, so you move everything in the frames. So if you want to stretch or shrink, it's in the frame. If you want to move it, it's got to be in the
Not in
border
this
there.
area.
Yeah. So you can add images to there, and of course your text to be turn off your keyboard.
I did.
Yeah. So you can either type the way we typed before and snip it off and drag in, or you can just type straight into there. Oops, sorry, I'm just going to move your thingy.
Right.
You end up learning to sort of type like this, especially if you've got like droopy sleeves.
Jewelry. Yeah, that's what happens with that bracelet.
Yeah. Okay, and so the idea then is
Your turn.
that we can add our notes, our text there, our dates, onto our timeline.
Okay.
Okay,
brilliant.
so that's for this specific activity, but again, if we think outside the square about one that we've created, this doesn't have to be a timeline, it can just be a sequence. So it could be a story sequence, it could be a
Okay.
life event sequencing when they're doing their Me, Myself and I unit at the beginning of the year or
Yeah,
whatever.
you could do their baby picture and
That's
they
right.
could draw
Those
That's
and then all
right.
the
Yeah. So it's any sequencing activity really, if you think about it, and you can have these sorts of features. So you can add whatever tools you want. If you've created the activity on the activity builder, you get to choose what tools you have. So if you don't want the web browser as part of it because you think, oh no, just not for my level, don't put it in. You get to select.
Okay.
So the person who's created these activities has said you'll need these, and you can create things like this. So this one is specifically set up like this.
they've
That's-
created that.
Yeah, you might have a different image that you want, or a graphic organizer that you've been using in class. So you might add that as the information one. And I mean, this is quite detailed, I will say. If you want to set it up to have text boxes like this, you can absolutely do that in the builder. I would just go with the template ones. It
We've
takes
got-
a little bit to set up.
Yeah.
That's all. And of course you can add your own Q&A in the builder. They've done some here. Now let's see. We'll send it to the teacher. Just do that. And we'll cross our fingers that it's going to. I'm going to say no. I don't want to copy it. Yes, I do want to view it. Oh, it's done the same thing. This is a little bit of a bug, I think.
So this be something, yeah, the settings.
So what?
maybe,
Yeah,
perhaps?
no. What we should see is the breakdown. So basically, you get an overview of the page. Then you get an overview of the students here with how much they've interacted during the activity. It breaks down even further student by student. So it says at this time during the activity, like at 9:02.4 seconds.
Oh wow.
Amanda opened the protractor tool. She's interacted with it here, 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 and here. So it gives you a whole detail of interactions according to token.
This token.
Then you get a breakdown you get 2 heat maps. So basically you get to see the screen with swirly patterns of where the kids' fingers have touched. And where they've touched more, it's like those weather maps,
Oh, yeah.
the intense rain patterns and stuff. It's like that. So you can see that if all the interactions have happened down here and none up here, well, now we can have a conversation about that. How come everything happened up here? Oh, well, so-and-so was really bossy and so-and-so wouldn't share. Or I was just
Never
doing,
happening.
I was doing the reading. That's why I've got nothing. I was just scrolling up and down on the web browser, and there's a lot of interactions down here because someone was making notes and someone was typing and this, that, the other. So it allows you to have that conversation with the students about where, or the group dynamics, how it worked, so that you can check in with them that yes, it was working, or was someone more dominant than
Yeah.
others. So you get 2 heat maps. One is showing interactions with the tools on the page, and one shows interaction with the content, so images and stuff that was already on the page.
Yeah.
So you get those 2 heat maps. Unfortunately,
I think the lesson's
not-
over.
is it run out? That's okay.
I think so.
Battery
It's
or
getting-
memory?
Probably battery. Oh, it
Battery.
might be memory too, actually.
I was going to say, I've got a power cord if you want to plug it in.
Yeah, it looks like the
Battery.
battery. That's funny. Oh, although it says SD. Oh no, battery. Yeah. Don't worry. That's enough for
For now.
now, and I can edit bits of it.